Eleanor was born in 1931. She grew up watching her father count change on the kitchen table every Sunday night. She watched her mother cut the collars off old shirts to make them last another year. She watched neighbors lose houses. She watched families disappear from the block and never come back. She did not grow up with money. She grew up with something more valuable. She grew up watching the families who had money before 1929 and had none by 1932. She watched them sell furniture from their front porch. She watched men who had owned businesses stand in lines for bread. She watched a neighbor, a man who had worn a suit every day, dig through garbage behind the grocery store on a Tuesday afternoon. She was 7 years old. She never forgot it. And she decided, with the clarity that only a child watching real consequences can have, that she would never be that unprepared. She grew up knowing that money can vanish, that nothing is guaranteed, that the only thing standing between your family and nothing is what you built before the bad time came. Eleanor is 92 years old now. She has $1.1 million. Her granddaughter Tanya is 37. She earns $64,000 a year. She has $41,000 in retirement savings and $9,000 in an emergency fund. By almost every modern financial benchmark, Tanya is doing well. By Eleanor's benchmark, Tanya has just started. This video is about 7 habits Eleanor kept her whole life. 7 habits that came from the Depression. 7 habits that the wealthiest families in America quietly maintained long after the Depression ended and everyone else moved on. These habits are not complicated. They do not require a high income. They do not require a financial advisor or a special account or a unique investment strategy. They require a different relationship with money. The kind you build not from abundance, but from understanding exactly what its absence feels like. If any of that felt familiar, subscribe and hit the bell. What comes next is the part that actually changes things. Habit 1. Never spend the whole paycheck. Eleanor has never in her life spent everything she earned in a given month. Not once. Not even in the lean years when the difference was $3. She had a rule. Before any bill was paid, before any grocery was bought, before any dollar was spent, a fixed amount left the household budget and went somewhere it could not be easily touched. Not a percentage. A fixed amount. Every month. Without discussion. Without negotiation. Without exceptions for holidays, unexpected expenses, or thin months. According to the Federal Reserve Shed, 40% of Americans say they spend all or more than they earn in a typical month. 40%. These are not people in crisis. These are ordinary working people who have no fixed savings behavior built into their financial structure. Eleanor would not understand this. To her, spending everything you earned was how you ended up with nothing. It was the choice that, made consistently, produced the outcome she watched destroy her neighbors. She was not wrong. According to Vanguard's How America Saves report, the single most powerful predictor of retirement wealth is not income. It is the savings rate. The percentage of income consistently preserved before lifestyle expenses consume it. Not a big percentage. Eleanor saved $12 a month in 1952. That was her fixed amount. The number increased with every raise, every promotion, every improvement in household income. But the behavior never changed. Something left first. Always. Habit 2. Never borrow for things that lose value. This one is invisible in modern American life because borrowing for depreciating assets is now so normalized, it feels like common sense. Eleanor has never in her life financed a car. She saved. She bought used. She drove it until the repair cost more than the value. She saved again. She bought used again. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics Consumer Expenditures Survey, the average American household spends over $10,000 per year on transportation. The majority of that is financed at interest rates that range from 6 to 24% depending on credit score. At 10% interest on a $30,000 vehicle over 5 years, you pay approximately $8,000 in interest alone. For a vehicle that lost 20% of its value the moment you drove it off the lot. Eleanor watched people lose everything in the Depression and noted one consistent pattern. The people who had borrowed for things that did not hold value had nothing left when their income disappeared. The people who had avoided that debt had more options. Debt on appreciating assets, a house, an education with genuine earning potential, a business, is a different conversation. Eleanor understood that distinction. She was not afraid of all debt. She was precise about which debt served her and which debt consumed her. Tanya has 2 car loans. She does not think of them as a wealth problem. Eleanor does. Eleanor has watched Tanya make the car payments for 4 years. She has never said a word about them. But she calculated the total interest Tanya will pay across both loans before the first payment was made. She calculated it the same way her father taught her. With a pencil. On paper. Looking at the actual number. The number was not small. Habit 3. Own your food costs. This one sounds old-fashioned. It is actually one of the most powerful inflation protection habits available. People in the Depression era did not eat out. Not because restaurants did not exist. Because every dollar spent outside the home on food was a dollar spent at someone else's margin. You were paying their rent, their labor, their profit. You were buying convenience at a price that made no sense when money was tight. Eleanor cooked every meal for 60 years. Not because she was forced to. Because she calculated the difference and could not justify the alternative. According to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, Americans who eat at home spend approximately $4 per meal on average. Americans who eat out spend approximately $13 per meal. For a household eating 3 meals a day, the annual difference is approximately $32,850. $32,850. That is not a restaurant bill. That is a retirement account. Tanya spends approximately $600 a month on food outside the home. That is $7,200 per year. Invested instead at 7% annual return over 30 years. That is $723,000. Eleanor does not tell Tanya this. She just watches. But the math does not change regardless of who watches it. Habit 4. Keep a written record of everything. Every dollar that came in, every dollar that went out, every month, every year, without exception. Eleanor has ledger books going back to 1958. Paper ledger books with handwritten entries. Every purchase recorded. Every bill noted. Every savings deposit confirmed. She did not do this because she enjoyed accounting. She did it because she learned young that money you do not track disappears without explanation. That the difference between people who built something and people who ended up with nothing was often not income. It was awareness. According to Pew Research Center, Americans consistently underestimate their monthly spending by an average of 30%. 30%. The gap between what people think they spend and what they actually spend is almost a third of their total expenditure. That gap is invisible money. Money that leaves the household with no one noticing. Money that compounds into the difference between retirement security and retirement fear. Eleanor noticed every dollar. She could not tell you what she had for dinner last Tuesday, but she could tell you what she spent on groceries in March of 1974. That is the habit, not the ledger. The awareness that the ledger produces. Tanya uses an app. It is not the same thing. An app that tracks passively does not produce the same awareness as a system that requires your active attention. Eleanor's system required her to write every number down herself. To see it. To acknowledge it. To decide whether it made sense. When you write a number down, you own it. When an app tracks it for you, you can ignore it. Tanya has ignored her spending app for 4 months. She downloaded it with good intentions. She checked it twice in the first week. Then life got busy. Then she forgot the password. Then she reset the password and forgot again. Eleanor has not missed a single Sunday entry since 1958. The habit is not the tool. The habit is the attention. And attention cannot be outsourced. Habit 5. Never show your money. This is perhaps the most counterintuitive habit on this list, and the most consistently observed among people who build multi-generational wealth. Eleanor has never owned a luxury item, not because she could not afford one after a certain point, because she saw no value in signaling wealth she had worked hard to accumulate. The Depression era produced a specific psychology about visible wealth. People who had flaunted money before 1929 became cautionary tales overnight. The people who had lived quietly, who had not shown what they had, were often the people who survived with something intact. That psychology did not leave Eleanor. According to research from the National Bureau of Economic Research, households that spend significantly on status goods, visible luxury items, clothes, cars, and home upgrades beyond functional need accumulate significantly less wealth over their lifetimes than households with similar incomes that do not. The study found that every dollar spent on visible status goods correlated with a reduction in retirement savings of approximately $3 to $4 over a lifetime, when accounting for the lost compound growth of that money. $3 to $4 in retirement savings lost for every $1 spent on status. Eleanor's car has been a 10-year-old sedan since 1967. Her handbags come from department store sales. Her house is paid off and modest. She has $1.1 million. Nobody who knows Eleanor would guess that. That is the point. Habit 6. Keep cash you can touch. This one sounds outdated in a digital banking world. But the principle behind it is not about cash specifically. It is about liquidity. It is about knowing, in any moment, what you can actually access. During the Depression, people who had money in banks watched their banks close. They watched accounts become inaccessible overnight. The people who survived that period with any resources at all often had something they could physically access, regardless of what financial institutions did. Eleanor has always kept a portion of her liquid assets in a form she can directly access. Today, that means high-yield savings accounts, not a mattress. But the principle is the same. She knows exactly what she can reach in 24 hours if she needs it. She knows exactly what she can reach in a week. She knows her own liquidity. According to the FDIC, the average American has approximately $5,000 in a checking or savings account. According to the Federal Reserve Shed, 40% cannot cover a $400 emergency. The gap between those two numbers is the illusion of liquidity. Money that is technically there but practically unavailable because it is already allocated to upcoming expenses. Eleanor does not have that gap. She knows her real liquid number, not her account balance. Her truly available, no consequences if I spend it number. Most people have never calculated that number. They have a vague sense of their balance, but no clarity on what they actually have access to. Clarity is a wealth-building behavior. Habit 7. Wait before you buy. Not wait forever. Wait. Eleanor has a rule for any non-essential purchase over a certain amount. She waits 30 days. Not to do research, not to comparison shop. Just to wait. If she still wants it after 30 days, she considers it. If she has forgotten about it, she has her answer. This is not a Depression-era quirk. It is a behavioral defense against one of the most expensive phenomena in modern consumer psychology: impulse spending. According to research from the National Bureau of Economic Research, the majority of discretionary spending decisions are made in the moment, without advanced planning, in a state of emotional engagement with the product or experience. This type of spending is the single largest source of financial leakage in middle-class American households. Not major financial decisions. The accumulation of small and medium decisions made quickly, impulsively, and without reflection. According to Morningstar, households that implement a waiting period for non-essential purchases spend an average of 23% less on discretionary items annually than households that do not. 23% less. On the same income. With the same desires. just with a pause between desire and purchase. Eleanor's 30-day rule has saved her over an amount she has never tried to calculate, because she never needed to. The rule simply meant that many things she might have bought were never bought, and the money they would have cost compounded into the $1.1 million instead. Tanya learned about the 30-day rule at Eleanor's kitchen table last Thanksgiving. She had been talking about a purchase she was considering, something that felt urgent. Eleanor asked, "How long have you wanted it?" Tanya said, "A few weeks." Eleanor said, "Come back when it has been a month." She said it the way she said most things, simply, without drama, without the weight of a lesson. But Tanya drove home thinking about it. She is still thinking about it. Here is what connects all 7 habits. None of them require income. None of them require sophistication. None of them are secrets that wealthy people are hiding from everyone else. They are habits. Behaviors, patterns repeated so many times they become automatic. A way of relating to money that does not depend on how much you have, but on how carefully you manage what you do have. The Depression taught an entire generation that money was not permanent, that it could disappear, that the only protection against its disappearance was the behavior you built before the bad time came. We do not live in the Depression. But the math behind those habits did not expire when the economy recovered. Spending less than you earn, avoiding debt on things that lose value, controlling your food costs, tracking every dollar, living without displaying what you have, knowing your real liquidity, waiting before you buy. 7 habits. 0 cost to start. A lifetime of compound benefit. Eleanor still counts her money on Sunday nights. Not because she needs to. Because she has done it since she was 12 years old, sitting at her father's kitchen table, watching him do the same thing, and understanding that this was how you kept what you had. She taught Tanya. Tanya is teaching her daughter. That is how it works. Not from one generation to the next, automatically, from one conversation to the next, deliberately, you just had that conversation. If this video gave you something real, share it with someone who needs these habits more than they need another financial product. Subscribe if you want to keep learning what actually builds wealth over a lifetime. And I will see you in the next one.